like to call to order the regular meeting for the Madison Local Board of Education, May 27, 2014. At this time, would everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Vaccarello, roll call, please.
Jacqueline Asbill.
Here.
Jay Fabian.
Here.
Michelle Hayes.
Here.
Rex Reiger.
Here.
Kelly Tromba.
Here.
At this time, all electronic devices should be turned off or muted, please. This includes cell phones, pagers, Blackberries. The Madison Board of Education is a meeting with public observation. Proper etiquette from the public, including sidebar conversations, verbal outbursts, or any interruptions is not permitted. This time, board will have approved tonight's agenda, but we do have a couple changes. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Reiger, I believe we wanted to add your thing to the board member report, for approval.
Okay.
Make it official.
All right. And what about the handling?
We're going to move that up prior to the public comments, right?
Well, we can put it anywhere now.
Oh, okay, okay.
So is that on the agenda? or-
It is on the agenda.
Okay.
It is on.
So we have one small item to add to the agenda.
I will make a motion to add Rex's item.
Thank you. And then we get Michael, roll call.
Jacqueline Asbill.
Yes.
Jay Fabian.
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Rex Reiger.
Yes.
Kelly Tromba.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
I should abstain. And we have a approval of tonight's agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any comments? Mr. Vaccarello?
Jay Fabian.
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Rex Reiger.
Yes.
Kelly Tromba.
Yes.
Jacqueline Asbill.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
And board, we need the approval for one item under number 5 for the regular meeting, April 15, 2014.
So moved. I'll second.
Mr. Vaccarello?
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Rex Reiger.
Yes.
Kelly Tromba.
Yes.
Jacqueline Asbill.
Yes.
Jay Fabian.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
And board member reports. Let's start with anyone.
I attended the Powder Puff game today. Senior girls won. I suppose as it should be, although we have one of the junior coaches in the audience that probably disagrees. But it was very well run, and the academic awards have been going really well. Looking forward to the seniors' academic awards for them.
Yep.
Anyone else? Well, I do have a statement to make, so I guess I'll make it now under board member reports. It's appropriate, right? When I was elected into the board in 2007, I was fortunate to have Jacqueline Asbill already in office and re-elected at the same time. She's sitting right here, by the way. We have the same educational philosophy and persevered through some difficult times. Wow, it was an unbelievable experience from where we were then to where we are today. We have reconfigured our entire district, both physically with our new buildings and philosophically with our central administration, Dr. Gotti, Mrs. Smith, and Mr. Vaccarello. You have been great cohorts and even better friends. I wish all of you the best of luck, both personally and professionally. And I have some small gifts for you in Roger's office when you leave. And one of them is a black pen, because you never have a black pen to sign your certificate, so it has your name on it. And maybe you can remember me when you sign for a few days. Thank you, and I bid you all adieu. All right. That's my little speech. And now, we have public participation.
I think we need to
A
vote.
motion.
Need a motion to accept it.
I will move to accept Rex Reiger's resignation.
Second.
Michael?
Rex Reiger.
I guess I'll abstain.
Kelly
I should
Tromba?
vote against.
Yes.
Jacqueline Asbill.
Yes.
Jay Fabian.
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Vote is 4-0-1.
And by the way, do we have any students here tonight? I don't know, from Mr. Rapoga's class. Make sure you stay for the meeting and have your agenda signed. And we're also adding a 500-word essay. Do it at the end of the meeting, so you can start writing right now. That was a joke. Okay. Sunny all week.
Yeah, before we,
Yes.
before we move away from board member reports, I just want to say it's been a pleasure working beside you, and you've done wonderful things for this community. And I know that we're all very proud of you and the work that you've done, and we will miss you.
Thank you. All right, now we're going to do presentations.
Alrighty, okay, some of these people may not be here tonight, but we have 4 very talented young artists to recognize tonight. Each of them had their artwork featured on the cover of recent board agendas. The first artist we'd like to recognize this evening is Michaela Bevan. Michaela is a 10th grade student at Madison High School. Her pencil drawing, Fox, was on the cover of the April 15th board agenda. Her art teacher, Mr. Jeff Greer, has a very gifted student in Michaela. Is Michaela here? Okay, moving on to our next artist is Taylor Lawrence. Taylor's Moving Landscape was a very colorful addition to the May 7th board agenda cover. Taylor attends North Elementary School and is in 3rd grade. Her art teacher is Miss Micheline Guerrero. Is Taylor here? Okay. Sometimes we have good attendance on this and sometimes we don't. Okay, next is Ben Warren, who used tissue paper to create the coral reef that was featured on the May 21st board agenda cover. He did a great job of creating the seascape. Ben is a 5th grade student in Miss Micheline Guerrero's art class at North Elementary. Ben? Okay, and finally, this one I think is here. A Jazzy Jungle Cat by Haley Phipps is on tonight's board agenda cover. This bright and colorful Jazzy Jungle Cat was painted by Haley in her 3rd grade art class with her art teacher, Miss Jennifer McKibben.
Come on up, Haley.
All right.
Go back to the camera there. Let's get this out. Okay. And would you like to shake hands with everybody? Just go around the circle.
There you go.
Right here.
That's right there.
Okay, thanks for all the students that share their artwork. And again, this is another one of those things that positive influences on kids that the board has chosen to do to highlight the success of many wonderful things that our kids do. So that concludes the recognition for this evening.
All right, if you are finished, you may leave, and thank you for coming, Haley. Bye-bye. All right. I think that's all the recognitions.
Yes,
Okay. Now we're moving to public participation on agenda items only. Anyone has anything to say at this time on the agenda items tonight? Okay. We'll have another public participation at the end of the meeting on general topics. Now, moving on to the reports and recommendations of our treasurer, Mr. Michael Beccarello.
Thank you. Prior to the board meeting, I passed out first a certificate that the district was awarded at the Lake County Safety Council meeting in April of 2014. What it says is from the period from January 23rd, 2012 through March 26, 2013, the district went 651,000 hours without a workplace injury. So that's a very good turnaround. We've had workers' comp problems in the district in the past, and that shows that we are moving in the right direction. Another piece of good news from the Bureau of Workers' Comp is because we moved in the right direction with trying to prevent workers' comp injuries and lost time. We are back into a group rating program, and we received the first refund from prior years for having experienced better than expected, and that refund amount was $38,659. So it's one of 3 refunds that we've received this year from the Bureau of Workers' Comp. The first one was in July, where the Bureau refunded to all public employers a very large sum. We got about $90,000, and then we received a smaller refund based on our efforts to protest a claim in workers' comp. The person was overpaid, she was required to repay it to the Bureau repaid us. So we continue to work hard, because if we're not in a group rating program, our insurance could be upwards of $200,000. Right now with group rating, we're gonna pay about $115,000 per year. So it's work, it's attendance at the monthly safety council meetings, but we feel that we're reaping quite the reward for doing that. The next item is 2 weeks ago, May 12th, I attended the Sunshine Law Training for the second time in 6 months. And thank you, Mr. Reiger. Based on your resignation, I'll have to go again. So I could be attending it 3 times in 9 months, but that's okay. I attended on behalf of the Board of Education and those 3 board members that were either reelected or retained with their terms beginning at the beginning of this year. So know that your records training has been completed for your term.
Thank you, Michael.
Sure. It's getting to the point where I think I could teach the class, because the content hasn't changed in 10 years. Finally, we have a levy that is due to expire at the end of 2015. It's an emergency levy that generates about $668,000 a year. Currently collecting at 1.96 mils, costs the homeowners about $60 a year. That expires at the end of this year. We have one shot to renew it, and that would be the November 4th, 2014 general election. As with the levies that the school district puts on, it's a 2-step process. We have the first resolution, which is a resolution of necessity, which the board needs to approve, and then we certify that to the county auditor. We bring back that certification, the board approves the second resolution, which is this resolution to proceed, and then we file all that with the Board of Elections. The deadline to have all that filed for the November 4th election is August 6th. First deadline is August 1st for the first resolution, August 6th for the second. If it's the pleasure of the board, I'd like to get those resolutions moving and have them passed by the board in June, if that's possible, so we can just get it off our plate and not worry about deadlines and, whether or not we have to call additional meetings to meet those deadlines. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the items I have that aren't on the agenda. Any questions on any of that? The first item I'm looking for approval is the May revision of the 5-year forecast. It's quite a bit like the forecast that I prepared in October. The state requires us to do no less than 2 a year, one due by the end of October, the second due by the end of May. This one has been revised for a few reasons, some of them significant. The first is the general, and I distributed a copy at the meeting on the 21st. Does anybody else want another copy? Okay. The first is I set the real estate tax collections to what they were for the current year. As you recall, I forecast $8.2 million, and I was off by 0.03%. I was off by $26,000, but I adjusted it to $8,226,000. We have a slight increase in the state aid. I've also adjusted the other revenues for better estimates on the pay to participate, the collection of the casino revenue, which is running about what we expected, but I want to shore that number up. Open enrollment is slightly down, but I adjusted that. And the one-time refund from the Bureau of Workers' Comp that we got at the beginning of the year. Other adjustments, the major adjustment in the employee retirement insurance section was we had anticipated a 14% increase in healthcare benefits going from this year to next year. That increase is 0 based on our participation in the healthcare consortium. This is the second year in a row that we've been able to hold our insurance premiums constant. Just a testament to the 11 districts that are in that consortium and the job that we're all doing, helping to control costs, helping to get our employees healthier. Healthier employees use less insurance. Less insurance means lower premiums. And then finally, purchase services were increased due to the additional $300,000 that the district is sending to community schools this year. The prior 4 years, we were right around $450,000. So I budgeted $480,000, and when we got the final counts for this year, the number went to $700,000. So I know Dr. Gowdy and Mrs. Smith are working on ways to get those kids back in the district, but that's not going to happen for the remainder of this year.
So, need a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it. Any comments? Mr. Vaccarello?
Kelly Tromba,
Yes.
Jacqueline Asbill,
Yes.
Jay Fabian.
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Rex Ryder.
Yes?
Vote is 5-0. The other items on the agenda, the next two items is to approve the financial reports for all funds, the fund-to-fund transfer report, and the check payment register for April 2014, and to approve the transfer of $2,109.38 from the general fund to debt service. That is for the interest associated with the House Bill 264 project.
So moved.
I'll second.
Comments? Mr. Vaccarello?
Jacqueline Asbill,
Yes.
Jay Fabian,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Rex Ryder.
Yes.
Kelly Tromba.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0. And finally, is the acceptance of two donations. One, a donation of $50,000 from Barbara and Ralph Rocco to the Gift 53 Scholarship Fund. And the other is a donation of $200 from Family Chiropractic to Madison Pre-K to be used for pre-K supplies.
Motion?
So moved.
Mr. Thomas, second. Comments? Besides a big thank you.
And as you know, the $50,000 backs up the $100,000 he gave earlier in the year. So that fund is now at $150,100.
I think I could add that.
Well, we got another $100 too.
All right, Michael?
Jay Fabian,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Rex Ryder,
Yes?
Kelly Tromba,
Yes.
Jacqueline Asbill.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
And we're doing our first award of this year's senior. We have 9 applicants.
Yeah.
9 applicants. So we will be doing that on
Thursday night?
Thursday night.
And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vaccarello. Excellent job as usual. Now moving on to the reports of the administrative team, Dr. Gotti and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah, I just want to say a few things about our president that's going to be leaving us here. He's a good friend, first of all, and second of all, I just think a lot of people will never know the amount of hours that the man put into this district. I mean, it's not sometimes not a popular position being one of these 5 school board members. And I know we've taken a lot of issues on together as a board with Rex's leadership that a lot of people wouldn't want to challenge, won't want to take on those challenges. I mean, the testimony will always be 2 brand new buildings in this district that if you look at the building behind us now and you look at the other buildings, it's unbelievable that we're educating kids in the facilities we had. The new modern facilities, the teachers are doing a great job, and I think it ultimately is the quality of your teachers, but it certainly helps to have a facility that represents this community and allows us to do the multiple things that we do. I mean, I could go on and on and on about a number of things that he's done behind the scenes that he would never take credit for, but I mean, the board recognitions to going around and recognizing staff members on their birthday, coming in once a month and going around and giving a postcard to the teacher or the custodian and saying happy birthday. He'd take the time out of his schedule to do that. And I respect greatly his decision to do what he's doing because he's first and foremost a family man and a good husband to his wife Lori, who just retired. And I respect his right to go out and spend time with his wife and enjoy that part of his life's experience. But the Madison community is truly losing a good person on the school board. And I know the other 4 will pick up the slack, and I know we'll put somebody in that position that'll move this organization forward and keep it going forward. But his accomplishments and his caring, his passion, and the amount of time he put into this position is just unparalleled. And I've been in this business 40 years. I've worked with a lot of school board members, and I'm telling you, you don't see them that put that kind of time commitment into their and passion and caring about kids and love for what he does. I will miss you.
Well, thank you, Roger. Thank you.
That
Hours
was
and
my
hours,
first
hours and hours and hours, and
Yeah.
especially in the construction area, boy, it's, yeah. It's constant.
Mrs. Smith?
I will echo Dr. Gowdy's sentiments. I've known you since I started in Madison. I was an assistant principal at the high school, and you were the PE teacher. And when we were there together, it was our mission to help kids, get those kids that maybe need an extra nudge towards graduation across the stage. And you know, that's what we're in this business for, is to work with kids and get them to realize their full potential. And you worked hard at that as a teacher, you worked hard at that as a board member, and you will be missed.
Thank you.
On top of that, my one last item is, you know, we do have some curriculum things still going on as we wrap up the year. We are working on the third grade guarantee. The state announced towards the end of April what the alternative test options were, and we are giving one of the alternative options tomorrow to our third graders at risk of not meeting that third grade guarantee. All the parents have been notified. We should get those results back right around the first couple days that we're out on summer vacation. So hopefully that'll narrow some of our numbers down, and then we're going to be offering a summer intervention camp. So
Very
we are
good.
moving forward with third grade guarantee, and we will be doing the OGT testing for our seniors and juniors that need it this summer for graduation, either this year or next year.
We have graduation coming up, how many?
What's that, that's 234?
I want to say 244, but I may be wrong.
I think it's 234. It's a
Okay.
smaller class this
Okay,
year.
okay.
Okay, we'll move on to item 10, recommendations of the superintendent. Dr. Gowdy?
All right, item A are personnel items, and entertain the board accepting the following resignation of Shannon Kriegmont as assistant principal of South Elementary, and then entering into an employment contract to employ Shannon Kriegmont, a 2-year as an administrator or as the principal of South Elementary. Also to employ Dennis Maurer, long-term substitute teacher contract from May 12, 2014 through June 6, 2014. To employ Ann Fleischer, a 1-year limited contract as educational assistant classroom aide. To employ the 6 support staff listed in Appendix A under a 2-year limited contract. To employ the 5 support staff listed in Appendix B, new continuing contract positions. And the following 11 persons under a limited extended service contract, beginning with Christine Redmond and ending with Elizabeth Fedor. And authorizing annual salary notices to be sent by the treasurer to the following 83 people listed in Appendix C, and the 3 people listed in Appendix D, and the 24 people listed in Appendix E. And to approve the continuing contract for the following certificated personnel. Steve Reed, we inadvertently left him off the last agenda.
So, I'll start out.
Comments?
I think Shannon's going to be great. I think she is.
We do too. We do too. We think she'll do a good job.
I'm very pleased.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Mr. Beckwell?
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Rex Ryder.
Yes.
Kelly Tromba.
Yes.
Jacqueline Asbill.
Yes.
Jay Fabian.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
Okay, and I'm going to read the resolution, but I'll defer to 2 of our board members that sat on this committee for explanation, because this was driven pretty much by our board committee. And it is a resolution, whereas the Blue Streak Memorial Stadium was officially dedicated on September 7th, 1994, and whereas the jewel of the stadium is the memorial established in the lasting and loving tribute to all Madison alumni and those who served their country in military service, and whereas the memorial tribute contains monuments to veterans of the Civil War, Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and the Persian Gulf War, and whereas the football field within the Blue Streak Memorial Stadium will hereafter be named Dick Hamblin Field in memory of Richard Hamblin, United States Marine Corps, whose participation in athletics in Madison Memorial High School contributed greatly to the team's success. And whereas Dick Hamblin was called upon to make the supreme sacrifice in the Vietnam War for the cause of democracy, it is hereby resolved that the football field shall bear his name, and therefore be it resolved that the Madison Local Board of Education does hereby name the football field Dick Hamlin Field.
So moved.
I'll second.
Comments?
Yeah, Michelle Hayes and myself participated in the, had a committee and we had several of the veteran groups sit down with us and talk about this. It's been something that has been out there for a long time. Dick Hamlin Field, if people don't know, was at the old high school, and Dick was killed in I think '67, and then it was named Dick Hamlin Field in '68, or there within a year after, and the supreme sacrifice that he did. I knew Dick personally, and he was close to in Rex's class, maybe a year ahead of you.
He's in my class.
In your class also, yep. And I literally sang at his funeral. It was a very sad time, but to be able to honor him and being able to come to a decision and compromise of naming the field and keeping the memorial stadium, Blue Stick Memorial Stadium, intact as well was important, because we had other committees that had set that up and worked through the process. So I'm very honored to have been able to help with that, and Michelle's suggestion of making it the field was a very good one, and I'm very happy to be part of that.
Michelle?
Just that we met with the veterans. The veterans, this was their wish, that it be rededicated to Dick Hamlin. They submitted to us several signatures of other veterans as well who had the same wish. The Blue Streak Memorial Stadium was already named. There's already a plaque there that says Blue Streak Memorial Stadium, so we are keeping that name intact and simply adding Dick Hamlin Field to it. Like I said, it was the wish of the veterans, and we were willing to honor that wish.
There'll be a future date and time set with the administration and with the veterans themselves as far as when they'll be able to add the name to there and do a nice dedication for that purpose. One date that was thrown around was November 11th, which would be Veterans Day. That would be an appropriate time, but that's up to them. It's up to the administration and the veteran groups to put that together, the programs and stuff like that.
And all of that is, the veterans are raising money to add the Dick Hamlin name to the scoreboard. They also have indicated that they're going to raise money to add a plaque to go along with it for the names of the other 4 servicemen that were lost in Vietnam as well.
I'd like to thank the 2 Legion posts and the VFW, and especially Mike Evangelista, who was kind of their liaison with me to set this up and get it done the proper way and quickly, and now we can move on. I do, as you do know probably, went to school and played football with Dick Hamlin, and it's kind of bizarre, maybe Dr. Gotti and any other football player can imagine that the person that you lined up almost behind one year and then the following year is gone was at that young age kind of almost surreal that would really happen. Ironically also, that when this is going on, my brother who works for CBS News in New Orleans, he sent me he probably can't assume this, but this is the Veterans Memorial. It was in New Orleans at the time this was happening. So he sent me this, and also he found Richard Hamlin's name on the memorial, and I just found it kind of ironic that in conversations with him, it was down there, and he actually sent these photographs to me. So I think it was in the stars for this to happen, and I'm glad that we're moving on with this, and I'm glad the Legion Post and the VFW cooperated, and thank Michelle and Jay for taking that bull by the horns and getting it resolved. Okay.
Just a little caveat to the memorial. If there's anyone out there that wants to know where these particular 5 gentlemen's names are on that, I do have a a copy of that.
There's a link you can go to.
So if anybody wanted to go look at the memorial and be able to find it.
And I think they're also putting the other names on the field, or?
Yeah, that's what she was saying, that we're
The other four.
gonna do another plaque for the other 4 gentlemen as well as Dick.
Anyone else? Mr. Vaccarello?
Rex Reiger?
Yes.
Kelly Tromba?
Yes.
Jacqueline Asbill?
Yes.
Jay Fabian?
Yes.
Michelle Hayes?
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
Very good, board.
Next, I have actually 5 resolutions for people that are leaving us to retirement. The first is Kathy Ravis, who taught for us for the past 29 years. The second is for Kathy Jackson, who's taught with us for the past 35 years. The next is for Susan Bolton, who's been with us for the past 22 years. And the next is for Nancy Woodworth, who's been with us for the past 35 years. And the next is for Dwayne Nichols, who's been with us for the past 5 years. And last but not least, for Barbara Norman, who's been with us for 36.5 years.
So moved.
A second?
Comments besides congratulations and thank you for your service, and just to show you what kind of quality people that are retiring, Kathy O'Ravitz, who I actually worked with. I know she's designed and had adopted by the U.S. Postal Service at least one stamp from her artwork, so and maybe more than that, but I just think it's kind of an example of what kind of people we have working in our school system. You know, we never replace experience, although they move on, but we know that always, as Jay would say, that's a gap that we have to cover between the experience that we lose to the new teachers we bring in or don't bring in.
Mrs. Ravitz is a wonderful teacher. She's actually my teacher, my art teacher. And Kathy Jackson was my English teacher, and Rex Reiger was my phys ed teacher. So we do have a lot of wonderful teachers retiring this year.
Anyone else? Mr. Vaccarello?
Kelly Tromba?
Yes.
Jacqueline Asbill?
Yes.
Jay Fabian?
Yes.
Michelle Hayes?
Yes.
Rex Reiger?
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
The next item, item D, is a resolution authorizing for the 2014-15 membership in the Ohio High School Athletic Association, the OHSAA.
So moved. I'll second.
Any comments? Mr. Vaccarello?
Jacqueline Asbill?
Yes.
Jay Fabian?
Yes.
Michelle Hayes?
Yes.
Rex Reiger?
Yes.
Kelly Tromba?
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
And then there's just a few items on the consent calendar to approve the programs listed below: Integrated Math 4 and Personal Fitness, and to approve the contract around-the-clock care for nursing services, and authorize Madison 2014 Madison Summer School Instructional Camp in football team camp and out-of-state boys team camp for soccer in Edinburgh, and the girls basketball shootout camp at Ashland, and the girls basketball shootout camp at St. Clairsville.
So moved.
Second.
Comments? Mr. Vaccarello?
Jay Fabian?
Yes.
Michelle Hayes?
Yes.
Rex Reiger?
Yes.
Kelly Tromba?
Yes.
Jacqueline Asbill?
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
That concludes my recommendations, Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Gotti. Job well done as usual. We'll now move on to public participation. This will be the last time I read this. We're now in public participation of this meeting. Public participation is only one avenue of communication with Madison schools. The Board of Education recommends contacting the appropriate school official on any matter. You can contact Dr. Gotti by phone, email, or on a personal visit. Finally, in making public comments, please understand there are privacy considerations in stating names and incidents. Theatrics and inciting comments are prohibited. Please stand, state your name and address. Each participant will be allowed at the podium going to stand for one time for no longer than 5 minutes, and public participation will last up to 30 minutes. If you'd like to speak to the board, please stand and state your name, address, and we will. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Sandy Casparelli, 167 West Parkway, Madison. First of all, thank you for all your years of service
Thank
to
you.
the schools. It's much appreciated, and I know you put a lot of time and effort into everything.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to speak about the levy real quick. Each individual in our community has different values and goals, obviously. In these differences, we need to find common goals. And I think, really hoping you go to put the levy up again. And what I feel is we need to find the common goals so that we can work as a group in our community. Everyone has different agendas, but our agenda needs to be, if we want a strong community, strong for our kids, good education, we need to support our schools. And what I would ask is that there might be better communication with the public. For instance, when the signs first went up for the levy, I was seeing signs, I went on the computer right away to see, okay, what's the levy for? Couldn't find anything. Finally, what was it, 3 weeks before the levy? Finally could find what it was. The things that were listed, I'm finding maybe weren't quite what the levy was really about, but it did list, it's kind of individual agendas as far as, the football team, no more pay for play, things that I personally didn't support, and I think a lot of people didn't. So what I would ask is, please try the levy again. Please try to communicate to the public in a better way. I mean, there's media, there's the internet. You have your public, you have your students, you have your teachers. Educate them about what it is you need, what the needs are, so that we can help you get those needs met and get that levy passed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, hello, I'm Sandy Wagner. I live at 148 Huntington Woods Drive. And I'm directly across from the air conditioning or the chiller unit. And I've spoken...
At the Southern Elementary, right?
It is.
Yes.
It's right, the new elementary school, right off 84. And I've spoken to Dr. Gowdy before. In the summer, last September, I noticed that the noise from the chillers was quite loud and it would wake me up at night. We discussed that, Dr. Gowdy, and you had said at that time, give us a couple weeks and we'll get it taken care of. Well, unfortunately, it's still happening. In fact, I can even tell you, there might be a couple of them there, but there's a big one that seems to start at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I know.
No, I believe
Yeah.
it, I believe it.
I've really taken to wearing earplugs at night, I'm not trying to be over theatrical, but it's truly changing my lifestyle. My daughter just had a baby, so we're very excited about that. She's cesarean, and she's living with me now, just temporarily, until she can get on her feet. And the best place to put her would be in my bedroom. Of course, it's, the suite with the bathroom. Well, we can't, because it wakes her up at night. So, really, if I could have your consideration, there has to be some sort of a muffler that can go on this. It's really been months now, and I'd really love to have you take care of that for
Can I
me.
speak?
Sure, yes.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, Angela and I met with a guy that, again, we're dealing through the architects and engineers and construction, we're dealing through those people. Matter of fact, I'll tell you, the wooden walls that went up there because I didn't think they were moving fast enough, which I still don't think they're moving fast enough, and I personally apologize for that. It's not through a lack of effort. We've been trying to push them as hard as we could, and these guys move at their own speed. But 2 weeks ago, we were over there, and those wooden walls I put up, because I could hear the sound. I think I was out there with one of you, where I could hear the sound coming right through the wire. It made no sense having wire fences there, and the sound just come through. Now, that didn't solve the problem, but I authorized those wood walls to be put up without the architect's approval, without the engineer's approval, without anybody's approval. We just did it. I said, we got to do something, because these people are waiting for us to do something. So we had that done. 2 weeks ago, we were there with a guy, and I want to say he's from eastern part of Pennsylvania, that is supposed to be the sound expert guy for these types of units. He's an independent contractor that they hired to bring in, and he's supposed to write us a recommendation that I was supposed to get by Friday. I saw our architect today in the meeting, and I said, where's the recommendation? He said, I haven't gotten it. As soon as I get it, you'll get it. Well, here's what he told me the recommendation's gonna say. And I'm probably hanging myself on a limb and sawing it off right now. He told me that that wall in the back, because it's metal, obviously reflects noise, number one. And there's a material that this guy will specify that we could put on that wall to muffle the sound. There's also something on the actual compressors that they can wrap them in. And again, I'm not an expert on this, but I'm assuming it's some kind of insulation that deadens the sound. And the third thing is some raising the walls, either by building the walls up higher, out of block, or doing something with things that he said look like louvers that would stop the noise. So the combination of those three things, this guy, the expert, told him should solve the problem. Now, I'm telling you, I feel so badly for you guys. I'm frustrated too, because I'm working to try to get those people to move, and as you can tell, he's told me he's gonna tell me by Friday, and I'll get a call on Friday. So I know I feel like I'm not trying to put you off, I'm really not. But I'm working through the system that is given to me, where we're working with the Ohio Schools Facility Commission as our partner, so I gotta go through the approvals of them. As soon as that gets onto my desk, we're approving it. We're approving it, it's gonna move forward. And the question I asked today at the meeting was, I need to tell these people a time. Don't tell me they're gonna do this anymore. When are you know, how long does it take for the material to get here? How long does it take to hang it up? I wanna know when this is gonna be resolved. So I really am trying to get an answer for you, and I really do apologize. I don't wanna see anybody not get sleep, and I don't wanna see anybody woken up at night. I really don't.
You know, since we don't have a time frame
I
on
know.
when this will happen, is there any way that they could be possibly turned off during?
We talked about that today.
You know,
We talked about that today with
10 and 6 or?
You know, I'm just telling you what I was told. I said, why don't we just run the things from like 9 to 9? I was told by the people that know the stuff better than I know that the humidity level could get out of control on that. I'm willing to take that chance. I'd rather do that. And I told the architect and the engineer today, I'm willing to take that chance. I don't want the thing kicking on at 4 o'clock in the morning and waking you up. I really don't. But I want the noise problem resolved, and I don't want you guys to be burdening you guys with that. I really, 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 truly don't.
So we are in agreement then? We will turn them off?
Yeah.
During?
Well, I'm gonna-
No, I misunderstood.
I didn't hear that, but I do know that I know very little about this conversation that you guys are having, but I was part of the discussion when we were talking about getting the chillers, getting that type of system, and that the humidity that he's talking about can really happen, and it can literally rain and down into the classrooms and spoil ceilings and floors and all kinds of things.
All right,
So,
I didn't understand. Okay,
Well,
so
but-
you're talking about the interior of the building, that we're gonna have condensation
Yes.
all over the place.
If
All right.
we don't run, and I don't know what that magic number of hours is that they have to run. We have our architect looking into it, but like I said, he was supposed to talk to me on Friday, and he was supposed to call me back today, and he hasn't yet. So
they did have to change, they had to redo part of one of the basketball floors because they were having trouble with a chiller, if I remember correctly, is that correct, Mike?
Oh, at the middle school.
The middle school, but that's still
That
the
was
same
very- that was very-
concept that can happen if you start messing with
Well,
it.
one thing I can
So
tell
don't-
you
We gotta
is,
go with the professionals, is what I'm saying.
and I've been in the school system a long time, and I can tell you that if Dr. Gowdy gives you his word that it'll be remedied, he'll work with these forces that are kind of like the immovable object right now, it'll be done. That I will guarantee you. Secondly, if there's a motion needed by the board, they're not gonna wait till the next regular meeting. We will take this and following, we've done this before, we will meet at 7:45 in the morning and pass the motion to get it done, so there'll be no paperwork or no lag by the Board of Education.
That's very,
I wish we could get it, and this is kind of my demise with education too, that I like things done yesterday.
Right.
And I'm sure you feel the same way.
And and I know you all understand, it's been since September. of course,
Yeah,
we had
and you're the one
you
being,
know.
you're the one being bothered by it, and that really does bother me.
You know, and
It really does.
unfortunately, my bedroom is literally
Yes.
windows, unfortunately, it's unfortunate.
I'm telling you, you can contact this man anytime.
And please do, but I'm telling you, right now, that's all the information I have as of 11 o'clock this morning. And
So stay in touch. Don't just walk away tonight and just,
And every night we don't do it is a night you're not sleeping, so that bothers me. That really does bother me. I sincerely mean that, and I apologize.
And I think one of us will call you when we have that magic date.
Okay.
Give it a number,
Because that's,
whatever,
I got two witnesses sitting right here, and I was beating on the architect this morning, saying, I need to know when all this is gonna come together. Is this something that's gonna take 6 weeks to ship the doggone material? Because the last time they were gonna ship material, it was a piece of rubber about this big, and it took us 6 weeks to get it. And I said, how could it take, I could have went down to the West Reserve Hardware and got that rubber. And I mean, but when you're dealing with these kind of people, if you go outside their spec, then they just wash their hands of it. So the balance I gotta watch is when I put up the wood walls, I was taking a risk there, but it was bothering me so much, that noise that was going on. I said, we're gonna do it. Well, they accepted that was probably a good idea. I mean, it's like building a bathtub with a gap in it this much and saying, why isn't it holding water? And so I'm saying it's frustrating to me too, but not nearly as frustrating as it is to you, because it's bothering you every single night. And I from the bottom of my heart, apologize.
And one thing that's kind of ironic is that, you know, we felt with the school going there, Huntington Woods would be a great place to have kids and raise a family right next to the school. And so ironically, this is turning into a problem for Huntington Woods, and it just kind of upsets us, to say the least.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
My name is Charles Longbar, and I live at 144 Huntington Woods. Obviously, they're a neighbor. Everything I'm hearing today is everything we heard about a year ago. As we came to the first meeting at the high school, Dr. Gowdy was there, Jay Fabian was there, and everybody's telling us what good neighbors they want to be to, you know, the community in Huntington Woods. Let me just go back into a few things. The fence around the property, it took forever to get that up. We had to keep going back and back and back, and nobody takes charge of these things. We get all the right promises, but that's it. The landscaping, the rest of the evergreens that are supposed to be put in, supposed to be done, finished in the fall, then they couldn't finish them in the fall. They're supposed to be done first thing in spring. Spring is almost gone. We got a complete year of school almost behind us, and you're totally ignoring us. You put that ugly paint on the facility on there that may be fine for the inner city in Cleveland someplace, but it sure as heck isn't for Madison. I got a neighbor on the other side that's trying to sell the house. Everybody that's come over so far is they love the house, but don't want to have anything to do with the backyard that's over there, and that blue color and everything else that's behind the house, and the noise level. I'm totally frustrated that, you know, we keep getting all the right answers, but things don't get done. And then we also get passed around to a million people, you know, to the maintenance guy, the guy in charge of maintenance. Mr. Gowdy, I send you an email almost a year ago that you never even responded to.
That's out of character for me.
Maybe out of character, but everything is out of character, and we're the recipients of this.
But
We paid a lot of money in the development that we live in, okay? And we expect that, you know, when the school was going up, he gave us all the right answers. Oh, don't worry, he says, we'll take care of you guys. You'll love the school back there. Well, thank you very much for messing this up.
All right. We can't go back in the past, but we can hope for good things in the future. And that's all I can say. Well, we're doing, I've been in this, I think I've been in this room for 3.5 years, meeting with the architect and the construction, and Mike and Angela and Roger and himself. And sometimes the meetings aren't as friendly as people would like, because we have asked the same questions meeting after meeting, and we have been stonewalled ourselves. And Mike we try to use a little financial twist and whatnot, but it just seems that we're falling on deaf ears sometimes. And I tell you, all 4 of these people in the meetings are wanting things done now type people. So it frustrates them, whether you believe it or not. I can testify, it frustrates them just as much as yourself. Unfortunately, you have to live with it, but I'm telling you that these people suffer with you because they want to get done also. I can tell you that as a fact.
You know, we've also been pushing at the city council meetings and the planning meetings, and our councilman Ken lives right in the
Okay.
development, as you probably well know. And they're as frustrated as we are because they're getting all the right answers, but nothing's happening.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Sherry Marachek, 215 Wellington Court, and this is for Mike, or Mr. Becquerel. I was just wondering what the projected deficit is for next year's school year based upon your new 5-year forecast?
The simple answer is $225,759. But there's a higher deficit that we have to eliminate because of the expiring levy, and that deficit makes it $574,394.
Thank you.
And Mike is fine.
Okay, thanks.
Just for the public's information, the reason there is a higher number is because when we are sending forecasts to the state, we cannot assume the passage of a renewal. So we have to take that revenue out, and then we have a deficit projection that includes the loss of the renewal levy. If the renewal passes, then we won't have the deficit of the $574,394. The other thing that I also want to just bring to everyone's attention is this is the deficit as of today. There are some fixed things that we know to be true and will remain consistent. There are some things that are variable and that change. This deficit number has changed multiple times just over the past few weeks because different numbers come in, insurance premiums come in, the state does different things with how much money they're taking away from us and giving to the charter schools, which, you know, inflate and deflate that number, not continuously, but quite a bit. And that is why, myself, I shy away from putting specific numbers out there because they do move. And we certainly don't want people to latch onto one number and then get busy with their families and that sort of thing and not be at these meetings and pay attention when the number changes and then feel like we hid something or we lied or we found money or whatever you want to call it. So just please know that the numbers that have been shared today are true as of today. They may not be true as of a week from now. So that's important to know.
Okay. Yes?
Barb Sabo, 2850 County Line Road. Just clarifying along with the levy questions. There's been some discussion in other districts that the teacher salaries are tied into a levy that may, in other districts that happens where the teacher contracts are set to automatically give them an X amount of raise if the levy passes. I'm curious if that is also true in
That's
our
not
district.
true here.
Nope.
That's negotiated.
Okay.
Anyone else? Yes.
Hi, Tom Hof, 139 Huntington Woods, and 2 items. One, I have a letter from Brenda Rarick, who is selling her house. She couldn't be here today, she works out of town, and so, you know, she has some of the same concerns that have already been addressed. So, I guess from my perspective, it sounds like we have somewhat of a plan in place with the architects to try to address the noise issue, and I thank you very much for that. The second thing that I guess I'll ask is there a plan from a planting standpoint of, you know, because the fence happens to be just a regular old fence instead of putting up some type of privacy fence, what is, like with the leaves on the trees now, it looks great, and no offense to your tie, but it's the same damn color as that wall. Pardon my language.
Blue.
It's a beautiful blue, unless it's about 30 by 50. So I just wondered.
There is a plan that was submitted and approved by the village planning
Planning commission.
commission. Yeah, I can get you a copy of that.
Well, we actually went to the planning commission,
Okay.
then I didn't look at it. So there is, but there is
Yes.
something in place that planning's
Yeah,
gonna happen.
I'll gladly get you a copy.
Okay, that's great. Who wants the
I'll take
letter?
it, I'll take it. I'm assuming it's to me.
I didn't read it, it was on fire.
School.
Let it cool down a little bit.
She's a Navy girl, so
Okay.
I'll warn you.
Anyone else? Yes?
Hi, Anthony Pasquarelli, 167 West Parkway Drive. I was just wanting to clarify, the renewal levy, like expiring, is that going up on the November election or?
Well,
If the board passes the two resolutions, it will.
Okay, so I just wanted to say, if that does pass, which I hope it does, then will you guys be advertising that better at all? Like, explain stuff like to people who may not know what it is who aren't at this meeting and stuff like that? Because the minutes are a bit delayed, and I mean, like, didn't we just approve the minutes for the April meeting just today? Is that right?
Well, that's just common tradition.
Yeah.
You have to wait till the next meeting for the minutes to come back to approve.
Well, yes, but
They're
then
not gonna send them to my
haven't we had,
house and I'm gonna
two
say,
other
okay.
meetings sent? Like, I mean, haven't we had the 7th meeting and the 21st meeting? I mean, I'm not sure if there's some sort of thing there that says we can't have special meetings, like approve minutes, but wasn't sure on that, so.
We don't typically call special meetings just to approve minutes. Usually they're published and then people are given an opportunity to review them and make sure that they don't have a problem with the minutes or, you know, say we had this conversation and in the minutes. When we approve them, we are approving that we agree that the minutes are correct. So there
okay.
needs to be some time for us to consider them.
Okay, because I was looking online multiple times, like every day, just because I have no life because I'm a high school senior right now. And it was just.
You have a lot of
You can
life.
work on a levy renewal committee.
Actually,
Anything
I'd
else?
like to. I'm just curious about the application process for a new Board of Education member. I read on the News Herald article that there's supposed to be an application available, maybe this meeting onwards. I wasn't sure when that would be happening. Just wanted to find out.
I can't speak for the board, but generally speaking, what they've done in the past when there's been a vacancy on the board is they ask interested applicants to send a letter of introduction and the resume to me.
Okay.
Then I collect them all by X date, whatever date they say.
Okay.
And then they set usually meetings to interview the people, and they set up the times, and I think they're gonna do that tonight, actually.
Okay.
So generally speaking, it's a cover letter to me, saying, expressing your interest,
All right.
and a copy of the resume.
All right, well, you can expect something, Jeff.
That's what they've done in the past.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
I'd like to refer back to my wife's complaint about the chillers. Again, I know you can't pin down an exact date, but we'd like to have an approximate completion date. Can you give me something, something spoken?
That's what I asked for today.
Right.
I want to know delivery, everything included. When is the problem going to be?
Well, is it
Don't tell me when the
6
material's going to be,
Or 2
well,
months, or
we don't know.
Because she's got health problems as a
Yeah.
result of this.
Well, as soon as I know, we'll call you and tell you, and I'm hoping to know, because that was the exact question I asked. Exactly,
We'll
when is
push tomorrow
completion?
morning.
Don't want to know when it's delivered, want to know when it's delivered, put up, installed, all the things together. Want to know the complete
Can we
package.
expect to hear from you at some
Yes.
reasonable?
Yes, you will hear
time?
from.
Yes, yes, you
Okay.
can. Okay?
Anyone else? Are we going to executive session?
Yeah, we have a need to go into executive session for item 1, 2, and 4.
And before we make that motion, I have to say one more thing. Joe Measle, you're never on TV, but we want to, as a board president, I want to thank you for all the time you come to all our meetings to set everything up. Thankless job, I'm sure. I know there's a little remuneration there, but take your time away from your family and your evening to do that every month, every year. I mean, it's just been, and you've been a great addition to, in spite of your allegiance to Michigan, we will. Yes.
Kelly Tromba?
Yes.
Jacqueline Asbill?
Yes.
Jay Fabian?
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.